You're listening to Fever 104 FM, the pop of Bollywood. My name is Darius, and this is the beginning of my weekend special show called the Dons of Bengaluru.
The Dawn of Radio!
Every Sunday evening from now to about 8 o'clock, we shift focus away from Bollywood and music and we bring the focus onto people, issues, institutions, things that are important to the fabric of our lovely city. And today, we're speaking to writer, entrepreneur, motivational speaker, social media influencer, Vishwas Mudagal. Your second book is already out. It's the first of your Age of Kalki trilogy. It's called The Last Avatar. It's a bestseller on Amazon. You're extremely successful as an entrepreneur. You've got two entrepreneurial ventures. There's GoodWorks CoWork and there's GoodWorkLabs, which is now the third fastest growing tech company in India. It's fantastic to have you on air with us.
It's amazing to be here, Darius. I've always listened to you and I love your show, and this is my dream come true.
Thank you so much. That's very kind. All right, Vishwas, let's start with understanding what exactly does GoodWorkLabs do?
GoodWorkLabs is one of the fastest growing tech companies in India right now, and we build products for other companies. And these companies, they range from Fortune 500 companies, giants, to startups. And we help them build products. And these products are like AI, big data products, and mobile applications, automations, and all of that stuff. So we're very good at design as well. So we also have a design studio. So in short, anybody has any need to build amazing, world-changing products, we do the job.
And how many people do you have? I know that we met maybe 4 years ago, I think it was about, and you were just starting off and you didn't even have full-time people on your payroll. Now how many people do you employ?
So we are just about 150 people right now, and we've grown about 500% year on year. You know, you came to our first office. It was not more than a tiny office. And then today we have so many large offices. We have offices in San Francisco, New York, Kolkata, and in Bangalore. So we are growing very fast.
That's what the Financial Times say. I mean, like the Financial Times called you the third fastest growing tech company in India. It's fantastic. And with all this growth, you've still managed to carve out time to write 2 best-selling books. Let's come back and talk about the books next. My name is Darius, and my guest today on the Dons of Bengaluru is writer, entrepreneur, motivational speaker, founder of the third fastest growing tech company in India, Vishwas Mudagal.
The Dawn of Radio!
Just before this, Vishwas, you were talking to us about how you've grown from a small 10 by 10 office with 4 or 5 people to 150 staff across like 6 different locations in India and outside India, and this growth of 500% year on year. Incredible journey. But what I find even more incredible is that amongst all this, you still have time to write a book. Let's start with your first book. Why did you choose writing, and what was your first book about?
My first book was Losing My Religion, and it was kind of based on my own story. As you know, that I had almost gone bankrupt and I had shut down my previous startup. I didn't know what to do next. But then I thought that I should write about somebody who's in my position and who quits everything and goes on a journey along with the American hippie. And how they bounce back, that was the whole story about. So that was Losing My Religion, and it became an overnight success, and it's one of the best sellers right now. Still, a lot of people are reading it. That's how I fell in love with writing. It became my parallel career.
Your second book, you started writing while you were working, or did you take time off from work?
I can never take time off from work. You know, the way my whole schedule works is during the day I'm an entrepreneur, during the evening I am a family man, and during the night after like 11:30, 12 I'm a writer, right? So that's how it works. Those are the perils of being a CEO. You always have to be on work, and so my biggest challenge right now is time, but writing is my parallel career now, and I love writing. It gives me a lot of satisfaction, and so that's why I steal time and I write.
And you write about crazy things. I mean, your last book, your first book, Losing My Religion, bestseller, still a bestseller on so many lists right now, completely different. Why don't you describe your latest book to us? I'm really excited about it. It's called The Last Avatar. It's the first of a trilogy called The Age of Kalki. Your cover page is so captivating. Let's talk about all of this up next on Fever 104 FM. Our guest today is a serial entrepreneur and best-selling author, writer, Vishwas Mudagal.
The Dawn of Radio!
My name is Darius. This is 104 FM, the pop of Bollywood. Just before this, Vishwas, we were talking about your company, GoodWorkLabs, the third fastest growing tech company in India, as per the Financial Times. You also spoke about how passionate you are about writing. The success of your first book, Losing My Religion, became a bestseller within the first 2 or 3 days. And now your latest book is out. It's called The Last Avatar, Age of Kalki. It's the first of a 3-part trilogy. Tell us what the book is about.
The Last Avatar is a combination of science fiction and mythology. And one of the key reasons that I wrote this book was basically I was tired of Hollywood superheroes. You know, there's a flood of Hollywood superheroes, Iron Man, Superman types and all of that. I always believed that we have such amazing culture and history in India, and there is no real Indian superhero. And I wanted to do something about it. And I decided that Kalki, the last avatar of Vishnu, is an amazing character to actually bring in flesh and blood, and create a superhero. That's what I wanted to do. So the book is about the near future, when the world is in the backdrop of falling democracies, there is terrorism, there is a lot of chaos going on, and it's kind of the dark ages. There is a terrorist organization that destroys the Indian parliament and kills the Indian Prime Minister, and there is no leadership whatsoever, and emergency is declared, and everywhere there is death and fear going on. There is a vigilante who rises between all of that, and then nobody knows who he is, and people just know him as Kalki, and he has to rise, and then he has to save the day. Can he save the day? Is he going to become a person who becomes the Messiah, the savior, or is he going to be like an outlaw who everybody just forgets? That is the whole question. That is the premise of the book.
So it's a futuristic vigilante superhero set in the fabric of ancient Indian mythology?
Yes, that's how it is. So it's deeply rooted in the mythology, because the Kalki Purana and all of that, they prophesize that the 10th avatar, Vishnu's 10th avatar, is going to come on earth to destroy everything and rebuild it again. He's going to reset the cycle of time.
Yeah, I mean, I just looking at your book, I can see the picture. It's so captivating. And congratulations, it's already on Amazon's bestseller list. So if anyone wants to buy The Last Avatar, you can buy it on Amazon or any of the stores. It's available online and at all the physical stores as well. All right, we haven't spoken about GoodWorks CoWork, the co-working space and this new trend that's come into Bangalore and across the world. Let's talk about that next. Founder of 2 highly successful startups, writer of 2 best-selling books, our guest today on the Dons of Bengaluru with me, Darius, is Vishwas Mudagal.
The Dawn of Radio.
His latest book, called The Last Avatar, which is the first of a trilogy called The Age of Kalki, is available online. It's on the bestseller list of Amazon already. It's available at all stores. Go out, buy it. I mean, you can't miss the cover. It's just a captivating cover. All right, Vishwas, I mean, to step away from your writing career for a second and focus on your entrepreneurial career, I know that you started off GoodWorks CoWork as a small 50-seater experiment. It's now 1,000-seater and it's always booked to capacity. So why is it so important? Why is this co-working trend caught on so big in Bangalore?
Be it a large company, be it a freelancer, be it a startup, what it makes them do is, you don't have to pay upfront security deposit, which is like 10 months deposit, which is very, very scary for people. And then that gives you a lot of money to put into your own business. You can hire better people. Next, you don't have to give a lock-in. You don't have to give the lock-in of 2 years, 3 years. That's another thing. And the whole cost of managing your whole operations, that totally comes down. You don't have to manage your internet. You don't have to manage your power, security, all of that. Everything else is taken care of. So you just need to focus on your business. So that's exactly why co-working has become so important. It's irreversible right now. Everybody has to move in that direction. And not to mention, things are very beautiful now, beautiful offices. It's not an office anymore, it's an experience. And number 2 is, it is all about collaboration. So people of different kinds of domains and expertise, they come together and it becomes like a melting pot of ideas and innovation.
Since you're saying this, I went to a couple of co-working spaces and I was surprised to find that there's a large number of corporates in there. So at GoodWorks CoWork, what percentage is corporate, what percentage is freelance?
About 60% is corporates. These are large companies, and they are taking spaces about, say, starting with about 50-seater to like 100-seater, that kind of capacity. And that's where the bread and butter comes from. And about 10%, you could say, are the freelancers, and about 30% are the startups that are there. That's the kind of a mix that we have right now.
Is this a conscious design that you want to ensure that there are not too many corporates because you want to balance out what the freelancers bring in?
Yes, it's very conscious, and we also are very choosy. We try and give discounts to startups that we like, and people from arts and photographers from different backgrounds. We try to attract them. So we want to have a very healthy mix of startups and freelancers and even large companies.
All right. You know what? We haven't spoken about the third fastest growing tech company in the India, which is, again, another one of your startups, GoodWorkLabs. Let's come back and talk about that next on Fever 104 FM. You're listening to Fever 104 FM, the Bap of Bollywood. My name's Darius. This is a weekend special show called the Dons of Bengaluru. And our guest today is Vishwas Mudagal.
The Dawn of Radio.
Vishwas Mudagal dons many different hats. Apart from being a family man and everything else, he's a writer late night and he's an entrepreneur by day. And your entrepreneurial ventures have done really well. GoodWorks CoWork was a 50-seater co-working experience that you experiment that's now a 1,000-seater. But the original one, GoodWorkLabs, which is a software product development and design studio. It's Financial Times has said that it's the third fastest growing tech company in India. And one of the things you do is build apps. Which is why we've got a question for you that's coming from Bijoy. He says he wants to build an app. What advice do you have for him?
First advice for anybody who's building an app or even any product for that matter is to be very clear on what the market need is and what are the key features that you want to build. And next is always look at coming up with a design first. It's called a design first strategy. First know what you need to build and how it needs to look, and then get started with actually building it, because that kind of brings down the cost. It also falls in the category of the lean startup. So where you do an MVP, it's called a minimum viable product. You build it with a small budget, you go out there, you experiment, and then you validate your learning, and then you iterate on top of it. So the first thing that I would do if you want to build an app is do user experience, do a design, do a couple of prototypes, showcase it to your customers and your key investors, and you will not believe how many customers they come to us. We make a lot of prototypes for them without even putting a single line of code, and they go out and raise millions of dollars with that prototype and also win customers. And once they have that kind of validation, you go ahead and invest in building a tech team and building the whole product, and then you go to the market. So be wise, go with 2 or 3 key features that really make sense, that are the most important features that will get you traction in the market. And once you have that, and then you can start building more and more on top of it. So your design needs to be awesome, your product needs to be really bug free, and it needs to be super fast. So these are the key things you need to take care of.
And then maybe you can make your $1 billion funding. All right. You've mentioned about other products. So we haven't even spoken about your growth. I mean, 500% year on year, making the Financial Times call you the third fastest growing tech company in India is pretty amazing. Let's come back and talk about what was driving that growth up next on Fever 104 FM. Our guest today on the Dons of Bengaluru has a bestseller on Amazon already. It's called The Last Avatar. It's the first of the trilogy called Age of Kalki.
The Dawn of Radio.
He's a writer, entrepreneur, motivational speaker, social media influencer. My guest today is Vishwas Mudagal. My name is Darius. By the way, his first book, bestseller, still available online and in bookstores. His latest book is already on the Amazon bestseller list. You can buy it on Amazon or any other online or physical store as well. It's available everywhere. It's called The Last Avatar. But what we haven't spoken about, Vishwas, is your first entrepreneurial venture, or at least your most successful, GoodWorkLabs. It's a software product development and design studio. Financial Times has called it the third fastest growing tech company in India. What's been driving your growth in the last 3 or 4 years?
Our DNA is what has been really driving us, and our focus is always on innovation. We are trying to help customers be at the edge of technology, And the way we do that is basically we question the status quo. We are always trying to look at what is the latest out there, and we're trying to shatter the dogmas in the technology space. We're trying to implement that is the latest out there. That is what is driving our success. And number two is the kind of people that we hire. It's like your biggest strength is your people, and we look at people who are problem solvers and people who are passionate about technology and design. So this combination has ensured that we are able to add a lot of value to our customers and their success, and because of which we have built amazing relationships with a lot of customers, and they continue to grow with us, and that has ultimately created a great brand for us. And not to mention that today GoodWorkLabs is like a gold standard in the technology space, and that itself is testimony to how we have grown.
I have to ask you, I think I already know the answer to this question because of what you just said, but what's the biggest hurdle you have in creating and driving this kind of force?
Yeah, so the biggest challenge always has been hiring good talent, and right now we are trying to double the headcount at this point in time. So my suggestion to anybody who's listening to this is, you want a great career, very challenging environment, you want to work with latest technologies out there, be it React, iOS, Android, Node.js, whatever you guys want to look at, AI, ML. So we are hiring a lot of those people. So please reach out to us.
Using my interview as a HR tool, a hiring tool. Let's do it properly. Search for Good Work Labs online and apply online if you want to be part of the third fastest growing tech company in India. Does that make you happy?
Yes, thank you so much for that, Darius.
All right, we've got space for about 2 more questions. We'll be right back on Fear 104 FM. Our guest today on the Dons of Bengaluru is a serial entrepreneur whose company GoodWorkLabs, he's the co-founder and CEO, has been labeled as the third fastest growing tech company in India.
The Dawn of Radio.
His name is Vishwas Mudagal. My name is Darius. This is the Dons of Bengaluru, Fear 104 FM, the pop of Bollywood. And the reason why I'm so excited to meet Vishwas Mudagal is not so much about his job as an entrepreneur, but about his role as a writer. His first book, Losing My Religion, was a bestseller overnight, and his latest book, The Last Avatar, which is the first of a trilogy called Age of Kalki, is already on Amazon's bestseller list. It's available on all online stores and physical stores as well. You should buy it. And since you've got 2 bestsellers under your belt already, back to back, Vishwas, what are the 3 things that you need to do to make a bestseller?
The cover and the title itself. It needs to be killer, and it needs to attract people to pick it up in any bookstore or online bookstore out there. If you look at what I have done with The Last Avatar, you have a very, very cool cover where you have Hanuman inspired character on the cover, and people would think that it's Hanuman, Lord Hanuman, but in fact it's actually a character called Vanaroid, which is Vanar plus Android. So this is like an army that Kalki creates to fight the bad guys. So that's the whole superhero kind of stuff out there. Kalki creates this very high-tech army to fight the enemies. And the second thing is I feel that is the content of the book. It needs to be nail-biting and fast-paced, and you need to feel like turning the page all the time. And in Last Avatar, it's all about the choices Kalki makes and how he becomes this person where he has to stop the world from crumbling down, basically. And you have secret societies, you have superhumans that China has created, and you got a terrorist organization called Invisible Hand, which is trying to destroy all the democracies around the world. And you got this ancient Indian secret society called the Rudras, where they are backing Kalki to save the world. So a lot of exciting stuff that goes on there. I would something like this is very important for people to have an immersive feel into the book. And of course the final thing is nail-biting finish. That is very critical, something that is unexpected that happens, and the same thing happened in my previous book, and even in this people can really expect something unexpected to happen at the end of this.
That sounds like an exciting book, and if you want to buy it, Amazon, it's on the bestseller list, or any other online store or physical store. We've got space for one last question for you, Vishwas. It's a standard question we ask all our guests. It's coming up next. My name is Darius. This is the end of my weekend special show called the Dons of Bengaluru with our guest today, Vishwas Mudagal.
The Dawn of Radio.
On Fear 104 FM over the last 2 hours, Vishwas has spoken to us about his journey as a writer, entrepreneur, motivational speaker and social media influencer. He spoke about his 2 best-selling books, Losing My Religion, and his latest book, The Last Avatar, which is already on the bestseller list in Amazon. It's the first of a 3-part trilogy called Age of Kalki. It's called The Last Avatar. We also spoke about GoodWorkLabs, which is the 3rd fastest growing tech company in India according to the Financial Times. We spoke about your journey, advice to people about apps, and this is the standard question that I ask everyone at the end of the interview, Vishwas, which is your message for the city.
I'm going to start by saying that I am a Bangalore boy and I love Bangalore. And if you look at even my book right now, it's based in Bangalore. So Kalki is this vigilante, this superhero who is actually protecting Bangalore. And he's trying to protect the whole world, and everything origins from Bangalore. And if you look at what is happening in the situation here, is a lot of things are falling down everywhere, things are not sustainable, there's corruption everywhere, there is overpopulation, all of this, a lot of these problems that are going on, and he has to actually come and save the day. And if you really look at what's happening around us right now, we're heading towards that. We're heading towards a Kali Yuga. And my sincere request to everybody in Bangalore is to stop that from happening, because we cannot get into a place where there is corruption. We need to start choosing the right kind of leaders. We need to elect the right kind of leaders. We need to do the right choices even when you're driving. Drive in the lane that you're driving in. Don't honk too much. Be polite to everybody, because we need to stop us from getting into a Kali Yuga. We need to stop that. So I think we as Bangaloreans, we have a job to do.
Kali Yuga would be a great thing to write about or to read about, but a horrible thing to live through. So let's make sure we make choices that don't let this happen. Let your book be a great book, but never reality. All right. Thank you so much for your time, Vishwas. We wish you all the very best for both your journeys as an entrepreneur, as a writer. All the best.
Thank you so much. It's great being here.